Hi, David Petersen here with another Mouse Guard architectural model, or series of models in this case. These are the models for Upper Port Sumac, which is featured in the Black Axe. These were a little unconventional for me as model builds because I didn't design these from scratch. These are what would be the equivalent of like kit bashing. You've seen probably the making of several sci-fi movies where they took model parts from aircraft and tanks and all sorts of things and used all those kind of parts, the guns and the wings and the things, and put them together to make new spaceships, sci-fi spaceships. I did that using these tabletop miniature papercraft kits. These are commercially available to make your own little role-playing tabletop villages or wargaming villages and towns, and instead of using their forms though, I printed out the roof shapes, I printed out some of the buildings, I constructed some of the buildings as they were, but then would cut into them and mash them together with other buildings until I came up with these houses that felt like these buildings that felt like they had been built on top of and on top of and on top of, cutting into one another in this very kind of Harry Potter Weasley house sort of way. I just kept making more and more and more of, printing out more and more and more of the model kits that were commercially available to then put them together. And then, once I had several of these buildings kind of concocted, stories started coming to mind. I started thinking about what each one was. This one was the tavern, and I made a little awning and a little sign hanging out. I went out into my yard and collected sticks and branches with the idea that this crop of sumac, staghorn sumac, had grown up literally through the town, or that the buildings had been built around the bases of those staghorn sumac. By getting the branches from my yard, I was able to push them through and plunge them through. You can actually see on the inside of some of these where the branches are cutting right through the inside of the building. There were a couple cases where I did fabricate some parts. I made a bell, like a town bell, for this one here, out of tin foil. This is one where I also mirrored two parts together. I liked the building, but it was very recognizable in the asymmetry that it had. So instead, I made a mirror of the printout so that I could make it non-symmetrical, or I could make it perfectly symmetrical. I'm sorry. This is still a concoction of several buildings and then sticks from my yard, as well as that town bell. But it was in building these locations that the story for how the culture of Port Sumac worked. All I knew for my script was that it was this town that was underneath a canopy of staghorn sumac, and that's where Kellinaw would find a rather inebriated Conrad after their journey together. But building these models helped me figure out the town layout. It helped me figure out visually how to stage the scene. Where Kellinaw would find Conrad. Would he find him inside or outside? Those things all came as I was building these models and kind of kit bashing and gluing and assembling, and it was literally just about looking at the forms, trying to figure out aesthetically what forms looked good on top of one another. And if something looked good, I cut it to accommodate and glued it right on, and then just kept adding to it until I had these three buildings. So I hope you enjoyed that Mouse Guard story, the Black Axe. I hope you enjoyed that part and can recognize some of these buildings from that. I hope you enjoyed the video and learning that not all these model kits have to be built from scratch. You can find commercially available kits and then make alterations to them so that you can make your own locations. So thank you for watching and enjoy.